Is this happening to you? Then you're in the right place for video game training. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to defeat Promised Consort Radahn on Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Okay, so let's jump into the fight. What I'll do is show you the fight first, and then afterwards I'll show you the gear that we used and my character's stats. We'll be doing this solo using no summons. Okay, so just gonna throw this out there. I've been playing From Software games since the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 days, and I can honestly say that this boss is the most difficult boss fight that they have ever created. This guy is insane. I usually cast Bestial Vitality and Flame Grant Me Strength just before I enter the arena. Bestial Vitality will give us HP regen, and Flame Grant Me Strength will increase our physical attack. Let's break down those moves and look for those opportunities for us to put an attack in. Most of the time he's going to start the fight with the Gravity Cyclone attack. With this one, you just want to roll forwards into him as he gets relatively close to you. This will avoid the attack, and then you've got time to take an action here. What I'll do early in the fight is apply poison to Radahn. To do that, we use the Serpent's Bow and Serpent Arrows, but you could also use Poison Bone Darts if you have those. This will take just a few arrows, and now his health is ticking on down. By applying poison to Radahn, it takes a little bit of the pressure away from us, so we don't have to worry too much about being hyper aggressive, because the poison is helping us eat away at his health. And if you do like the poison damage over time strategy, you're going to love the strategy that we do in phase 2, which really does make phase 2 a lot easier. One of the main things that we're looking to do in this fight is get him stuck in a parry loop. Now, I don't normally recommend a parry strategy for bosses, but for this particular boss, I feel like the parry strategy is the best strategy to take. This is because when you get him caught in this parry loop, it forces him to stop using the rest of his attacks for a little while, so you don't have to worry as much about all of his other crazy attacks. If you look out for the attack where he kind of holds his sword up above his head for a second and then swings it on round down to you, there's quite a big wind up for this particular attack, and this is the best attack to parry. A lot of the time this attack will happen after he stomps the floor with his foot, and after you get the first parry, he tends to get caught in this loop over and over again. There are some occasions where he can break out of this loop, so just keep your eyes open in case he does break out of it. And then he's got another combo which is really easy to parry as well. I usually avoid the first swing in this combo, and then he readies up a second swing with both swords side by side. This particular attack has got a massive wind up as well, so be ready to parry this attack. Those two attacks are the main attacks that you want to be parrying all the way through this fight. You can parry other attacks as well, but I tend to find that those two are the best just because they have massive wind ups before each of the attacks. After we get a parry, I normally run up close and get a light attack in as well. After you successfully get 3 parries, his stance will then be broken, and now we can hit him with a critical strike. Run up close and press your light attack button to initiate the critical strike. We're using the Assassin's Crimson Dagger Talisman, so when we do get a critical strike, it also restores a little bit of our health. Don't worry too much if you've not tried parrying before. Just give it a few tries and give it a little bit of practice, and then the timing will start to feel a bit more natural to you. Also, it's worth mentioning that we're using the Buckler's Weapon skill to parry, and I would highly recommend this shield if you're going for this strategy. If you don't get the parry at the start of this combo, it turns into a 4-hit combo, and then there's like a ground smash area of effect attack at the end. So if you do get caught in that combo, just watch out for the ground smash at the end of it. If you can get behind him, you can also punish at the end of that combo. What you want to be doing for the vast majority of his attacks is rolling forwards and left-ish through them into and towards Radahn. By rolling in this direction, you should avoid the majority of his attacks. Next, we got the Blood Flame Slash. There's 3 slashes in this combo. You just want to roll through each of the 3 slashes, but there's a very slight delay between each attack, so don't instantly roll 3 times back to back. Remember to give it a very slight delay between each roll. You could also try and make your way behind Radahn during this 3/ Blood Flame combo. You might be able to get an attack in if you can get behind him, but just be careful because he tends to follow up the last attack in this combo with another attack from another combo very, very quickly. The last attack on the Blood Flame Slash combo will produce a little explosion effect, and that explosion effect is designed to hide what's coming next, because the explosion kind of obscures your view so you can't really see what Radahn's doing. So just be careful because he's probably going to come out of that explosion slashing towards your face. Next up, we've got the Starcaller Cry. You can just avoid this attack completely by rolling at the right time. When he shouts, just roll and you'll avoid the attack. Just be careful though if you roll through this and you're also close to him, because if you are close, he can do the follow-up to this attack as well. If you do get caught in this attack though, make sure to run backwards instantly. If you sprint backwards instantly, then you should avoid the remainder of the attack. You can also do something quite similar with this attack in phase 2. The version of this attack in phase 2 is a little bit more crazy, and it's got a few extra attacks in a combo, but still, if you just sprint backwards and jump a few times, you should avoid most of the attacks. Let's take a look at the Meteor Summon move. With this attack, it's got 3 hits in the combo. The initial hit will be when he puts his swords into the floor, so if you are close, make sure to roll to avoid that initial strike. Then the second attack is when he kind of launches himself up into the air, so once again, roll through that if you're close. Just after Radahn has shot up off the floor into the air is a really good time for you to take an action, so if you need to use a flask or apply a quick buff, this is the perfect time to do it right here. Then the meteors will launch down towards you. All you got to do is sprint directly to your left or right, then jump as the meteors get close and you'll avoid the attack. This Meteor Summon attack gets a little bit crazier in phase 2, but we'll cover that a little bit later. He's also got a crossed sword slash. For this one, you just want to roll forwards through it, and then you've got time to put in 1 light attack. He's also got a forward flip attack. This one has 2 hits in the attack. As he starts the forward flip, his swords will hit the floor directly at his feet, so if you are close to him when he starts this, make sure to roll to avoid it, and then the swords will collide with the floor again at the end of the flip. Once again, just roll forwards into him to avoid this. You've usually got time for 1 quick light attack here as well. Sometimes you might also do a second flip, so just keep your eyes peeled for that. Once again, you've got time to put in 1 light attack at the end of the second flip. He's also got an attack which kind of acts like a grab attack. It's got a massive delay at the start. He'll hold both of his swords up in the air and then really slowly swing them around towards you. Then he'll do the second part of this attack where he slams his swords into the floor. Just make sure to delay your rolls quite a bit for both attacks in this combo. If you get caught in this first attack, it kind of throws your character up into the air. Roll through both of these attacks and then you get a decent amount of time to take an action. Just as a bit of a side note here, what I would say is if your health is half or less than half and you have time to take an action, I would always choose to drink a red flask over putting in some damage. The next attack is what I like to call the undodgeable combo. There's 3 attacks in this combo. He slices with 1 sword and then slices with the second sword and then does like a cross slash and slashes with both swords. I genuinely don't know how to avoid the second attack in this combo. I can always avoid the first and the third, but I can never avoid the second attack. So if you do have any tips or knowledge on that, then feel free to drop it in the comments. I imagine there might be some kind of weapon skill that helps you evade that second attack. Anyway, just roll through these attacks the best that you can do, and then if you can place yourself towards Radahn after that third strike, you then get time to take an action. He goes into phase 2 at about 70% health remaining. As you enter phase 2, you do have time to drink a quick flask, so take advantage of that. A lot of the time, he opens up this phase with the Light of Miquella attack, where he kind of like floats up into the air and then does a massive area of effect holy explosion. To avoid this explosion, you need to instantly run in 1 direction and don't stop running. However, what I tend to do at the start of phase 2 to make this phase way easier is kind of assume that he's going to do the Light of Miquella attack and then start throwing hefty rock pots at him. If you can hit him with 2 hefty rock pots in quick succession, it will apply Scarlet Rot to him, and Scarlet Rot does an insane amount of damage to him. To give you an example, if you did inflict Scarlet Rot, it would actually take his health down from about 70% to about 25%. Even if you don't get chance to put in many attacks, the Scarlet Rot will eat his health down to about 25% remaining, which means that we don't have to stress as much about putting in our attacks. This way, we're only responsible for taking care of a small amount of his health in phase 2, which makes it way easier. I would say that it's worth tanking the damage from the Light of Miquella explosion just to make sure that you land 2 hefty rock pots onto him. Just make sure that your health is topped up if that's the tactic that you're going to do. And like I mentioned earlier, you do get the chance to drink a flask at the very start of phase 2, so use that chance to drink a red flask if your health is low. Moving on, let's take a look at his attacks in phase 2. A lot of his attacks and his combos are very similar to phase 1, so we still want to be looking out for those opportunities to strike at the end of his combos, and we also want to be looking out for that parry opportunity from before. You just got to keep in mind that in phase 2, after he does an attack with his sword, there's also going to be holy bolts blasting the floor as well, but very similar to phase 1, if you just roll forwards and left-ish through his attacks, you should avoid the sword swing and avoid the holy bolts as well, so keep on rolling forwards and left-ish through most of his attacks. If you can get him caught in that parry loop again, it kind of stops him from using the rest of his attacks for a little while, so it makes life easier just by getting him caught caught in this loop. Make sure to keep your eyes peeled for those parryable attacks that we mentioned earlier and try your very best to get the parries in. He's got access to a new combo in this phase. With this one, he does 2 sword swings, then there's a slight delay, then he does another 2 sword swings, then he jumps up into the air, then slams down into the floor. Holy bolts will shoot outwards from where this last attack happened. For this one, you just want to roll twice through each of the initial sword swings, then you want to delay your next roll slightly, roll twice again through the next 2 sword swings, roll again through the attack where he jumps upwards, then roll into him for the final attack in this combo. By rolling into him, it'll help you avoid the holy bolts that spread outwards. He's also got access to an attack where he does multiple blink slashes forwards in a straight line. For this one, if you just stand directly next to Radahn, almost like on top of him, at the point where he starts the attack, the entire attack will just completely miss. You could also use this chance to take an action. He's also now got the ability to use a quick blink 2/ combo attack. A lot of the time he uses this one to close the distance between you and him. For this one, you just want to roll forwards and left-ish through each of the blink attacks. Rolling in this direction should help you avoid both blink attacks. You sometimes have time to put in a light attack just after this as well. He can now do an arena-wide holy explosion. When you see him cross his arms across his chest and charge up his swords, get ready to roll through this arena-wide explosion. You can now also use a proper grab attack. If you do get grabbed by this twice, then it will instantly kill your character. Just roll forwards through this grab towards Radahn, and then you've got time to take an action here. If you get grabbed once, you'll have like a little marker over your head. If you have Miquella's Great Rune, you can use it here to take away this marker. By doing that, it erases the effect of the first grab. You can get Miquella's Great Rune by defeating the Erdtree avatar boss. Moving forwards, we'll take a look at the Holy Discus attack. This one's quite straightforward. He just shoots a Holy Discus towards you, and you just want to roll forwards through it as it gets close to you to avoid it. One of the toughest attacks that he's got in phase 2 is his 5 blink overhead sword attack. He seems to always do this one after his meteor summon attack, but there is also a version of this attack that he does without doing the meteor attack first, and this alternate version has 4 sword strikes in the combo. So for the meteor summon attack in phase 2, for the first part of this attack, you just want to do it the same as phase 1, where you run directly to your right or left and then jump as the meteors get close to you. After that, you want to run backwards and right-ish or backwards and left-ish, because he's about to do the 5 blink overhead sword attack. So for this attack, he slams the floor 5 times with his sword. For the first 4 attacks in this 5 blink overhead sword combo, I try to run backwards and left-ish or backwards and right-ish. Sometimes spam rolling to the sides can also help you avoid this. Then for the 5th attack in the combo, I usually try to roll forwards and right-ish or forwards and left-ish. Then after the 5th sword slam, there's a very slight delay, then holy bolts shoot out forwards in a straight line in front of Radahn in the direction that Radahn is facing. So you want to pull to the sides or roll to the sides to make sure that you're not directly in front of Radahn at this point, so you can avoid the holy bolts that shoot forward in this straight line. Then there's a slight delay again, and as Radahn pulls his swords up from the ground, holy bolts will blast out from where Radahn is in all directions, so you need to roll forwards through this attack, which will allow you to avoid the holy bolts and place yourself close to Radahn. At this point, you've got quite a bit of uptime to take an action or two. It's really tough to avoid every single strike in this combo, so what I would advise is as the meteor summon attack starts up, you always have a small window of time to drink a red flask. So if your health is low, always take this chance to drink a red flask, because it's quite likely that you might get hit with at least 1 hit in this massive combo. Keep your eyes peeled for the version of this attack that you can do without doing the meteor summon attack first. If he does the alternate version that has 4 sword strikes in the combo, then a lot of the time he just tends to go into a normal sword combo straight after it. So just be on your toes and look out for this. At any point, if he does that ground smash attack where he kind of jabs his swords into the floor, he's always going to do that ground break attack where he pulls the swords up, and a blast of holy bolts are going to shoot out in a circle motion from where the attack was. So always roll forwards through this and it will keep you safe. When his health gets a little bit lower, he's going to do his signature Holy Meteor Crash attack. For this attack, you just want to run in the opposite direction to where Radahn started the attack and just run as far as you possibly can do in the opposite direction. Depending on how much distance you ran, you might also need to roll through the explosion. In summary, the main points that will help you win this fight are roll forwards and left-ish into and towards Radahn for the vast majority of his attacks. This will help you avoid most of his attacks and combos. If you can apply damage over time, such as poison or scarlet rot, this will take a lot of the pressure away from you having to find time to put in your attacks. Especially if you can apply scarlet rot in phase 2, it will absolutely destroy his health. And in combination with this, if you can keep him locked in that parry loop, the scarlet rot will be eating away at his health whilst you're destroying his health as well inside the parry loop. If you can combine these things together, it can make phase 2 so much easier. After you land the final strike, you can also switch over to the golden scarab talisman, which, as long as you're quick enough doing this, will get you an extra 20% runes. And this boss drops a huge amount of runes, so getting an extra 20% is massively useful. This is the gear, equipment and talismans that we used in this fight. Whilst we take a look at this, I just want to say it's massively important to be collecting the Erdtree fragments. You then want to be using the Erdtree fragments at a site of grace to increase your Erdtree blessing level. By increasing your blessing level, it increases the damage that you deal and it decreases the damage that you take. If you're using Spirit Ash summons, you also want to be leveling up your revered Spirit Ash blessing as well, as once again that will make your Spirit Ashes deal more damage and take less damage. So if you're massively stuck on a boss fight, I'd recommend leaving the boss fight for a while and then going to find some Erdtree fragments, then come back to the boss fight after you've leveled up your blessing levels a bit. These blessing levels only apply to your character in the DLC. Some more videos from me have just popped up on the screen. If you enjoyed this video, then it's likely you'll enjoy one of those as well. Other than that, thank you so much for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.